Being at 7 o'clock, I hereby call this meeting to order, and we'll open up the meeting. I think everybody got the agenda, so I think we can just get started and get to some of the discussion items. But before we do that, Lori was kind enough to print out copies to do the minutes and print out copies. If you guys would all review them quickly, then I think I was in error of not sending them with the agenda because Lori sent it to me last week. I think you might have. I could have done. I got it today.
I did them right away, so I didn't forget all the motion, understand my notes on all the motions that we had to make.
Just looking at it, made some other notes. Would anybody entertain a motion?
I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the November 6th meeting as submitted.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
The November 6th meeting?
No. Did you mean February 6th meeting? Or does this say
Oh,
November?
sorry,
Did I say-
February
I
5th, I'm
amend.
sorry, yes, it was
February 5th meeting. I saw one date and I just.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So moved. So the next two, I'm gonna combine 2 and 3. So I was informed by, oh boy. I just grabbed the wrong folder. I was informed by the town accountants that we need in order to get a reimbursement, the committee either needs to vote and sign each individual member for reimbursement, or the committee can make a motion to grant the chairperson the right to approve reimbursements, and then he or she can sign on them, or they can sign on them, you know, out of meeting schedule. So I am just bringing that up because I think it would somehow make it easier, and we owe Rory $44.85 up to. And so I would like to get that processed, and I can't until I either get all of you to sign a piece of paper, or there's a motion to grant the chairperson. And I would suggest we make it the chairperson,
Yeah, not a specific person.
not in perpetuity, but just in case we change in June, or you know.
To approve reimbursements, sure.
To improve reimbursements. I mean, the value of our account is $500. It's not like we're going to be.
Is that what our budget is?
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Do we need to ask for that right now, or? it
Do we
looks-
need to ask for the budget? I asked
No.
for it to be continued.
Yeah, cause I think I
from
saw
last
it in
year.
the budget,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
I move to grant the chair
Authorization.
authorization to approve reimbursements
I'll second that.
going forward.
All in favor?
Aye.
Lori, just for the record, I will need a copy of those minutes to be submitted with the first reimbursement so that they know it happened.
Okay.
Seems like you've been carrying the weight of late. So, updates on planning the March 15th chicken event. Eric in question mark, so I think Tyler got the ball rolling with Sarah. Sarah sent me some information, and then Katie or Kate Nadeau put together, if you guys saw, put together a few ads, a few posters, and she submitted them to media. She has posted them on Facebook. I didn't double check. I posted it myself, but I didn't check on the ag page. I forgot to do that.
I
don't
put it
know.
on there.
You put it on there too? Okay. So,
It's well circulated,
you've seen it?
Yeah.
So it's been being circulated? Okay. There's a couple of additional planning items that I don't wanna forget about, and I'm gonna write them down now. One, don't let me forget about talking about biosecurity. Tammy brought up that issue, and it is a subject that I wanna clarify, how we're gonna present that. But right now, do we think it's prudent to, put poster boards out? I don't understand the sandwich board. Does anybody know, not a sandwich board, but there's a sign
On the common,
on the common?
the selectmen have a,
Is it like a sandwich board, or is it
yeah,
or is it permanent?
it sets on two posts,
It's
It's
right across from
double-sided.
Domino's.
and you
And
take
it's there permanently, but you get to
Yeah.
open it up and put in
Yeah.
something for 3 days? or
No, you
something,
just
or-
take whatever you've got and you staple it on there.
Okay,
There's no opening, it doesn't open.
Yeah, it's just there.
so it's not covered with glass, okay.
No,
So, size, does that, I can measure before I go to the printer. Okay,
Yeah.
I can go measure, I think we're supposed to
It's right there
get,
next to
I
Domino's.
think we're supposed to get permission, I'll check with this.
yes, that's all you have
Commissioner's
to do.
office, or they
Just
say
make sure somebody
you can
else is-
only have it like a week before your
Yeah,
event to make sure there's no.
It was blank the last time I
Okay.
drove by.
Okay, so I can do that. What do we think about Tractor Supply, Amherst Farmers, and Hardwick Farmers Co-op? Has anybody,
I don't,
It's sponsored by Poulin, that's the only thing.
well, Hardwick and Tractor Supply do sell Poulin products.
Okay.
I don't
I
recall.
don't know where they put up announcements for stuff like that.
I know there's a bulletin board outside of Hardwick.
Tractor Supply has one by the bathrooms.
They do?
It's way in the back by the bathrooms.
Not
Yeah.
heavily, I'm wondering if I could bring two and ask them to put it up next to the chicken cage where they're selling the chicks.
Right.
Well, they might,
Why not?
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're not competing to
Right, we're not competing with anything,
take
especially
away their chicken sales or
if
anything.
they
it's
sell
just
Poulin.
Maybe some help.
actually, we're probably
Mom
increasing
and
their
helping
chicken
them.
sales.
Yeah.
Helping them with some educational.
Did that poster have, mention anything about pooling grain on it?
Yeah,
or-
it's down in the
It
right
did
next corner.
say,
It says
because
sponsored
Sarah's
by
making the
Poulin.
presentation, we
Yeah.
have to acknowledge that
Right.
she's not a resident. We didn't try to do advertise, the word might say sponsored, but that's kind
It
of an
does,
odd
it says
word.
sponsored by
I
Poulin
talked to
Grain
Katie
on the
about
right.
that, and she was gonna check with somebody, cause I said I'd prefer to see presented by
Yeah.
Poulin, because it's not like they're paying us, they're not buying the coffee, they're not buying drink, it's not like they're,
Right.
Yeah.
Wordage.
yeah.
Well, maybe you
Yeah.
should ask them to buy the coffee.
Come give a speech and bring your
No.
cards.
Any flavor you like better, yeah, no, that's fine, I think,
Rhode Island Red.
all right, while we're on coffee, all right, I'll take care of the poster boards. What was brought at the January event for refreshments?
Dunkin' Donuts.
Two boxes of Joe and some munchkins.
Yeah, 2 boxes of munchkins and yeah, the 2 boxes of Joe, and it was too much, for what,
Okay.
how well attended.
I know Louise is a terrific member, but we used to bake goods and buy more, and there was more stuff,
Yeah.
even more than
Yeah.
you guys probably had left
Yeah.
over, so.
I don't know what to expect for the chicken event, but for the farmer event in January, I think I went home with like a whole unopened coffee box and most of the munchkins, you know, like most
Yeah.
people didn't really.
Yeah, not every.
Well, and it's in
certainly
the
not.
afternoon too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of a,
Yeah, it's kind of past. If you knew more families were gonna come, maybe you got hot cocoa, but it's,
Yeah.
it might not be cold, so.
Let's just sell them ham and bean dinner or something like that.
Good old fashioned. We'll have it at 5 o'clock at the Grange.
There you go.
So, do I have okay, who will be attending the event, and do I have any volunteers to both help set up and or do refreshments?
so I'm unfortunately not in town that weekend, so.
And I'm not in town either.
Oh boy,
Guess it's you and me there, Tom.
I guess. That's the March 15th is when my nephew does his Sugar Fest
Yeah,
operation, and
we're competing with that.
that is a big, big.
Why didn't you tell us before? We would have moved this event, because I want to go to the sugar event.
What time's the sugar event?
Noontime. Noontime till whenever.
Yeah, I think you can still make it after the chicken event.
When's that supposed to be?
1 to 3.
Yeah, I'm
Are
not.
you really helping participate
No.
there, or could you come for half an hour just at the beginning
I could-
to
I
make
could
sure
help.
I
I could
didn't break a
certainly
window
help,
because I forgot the key?
because I am not. No, you have the key now.
Oh yeah, you gave the key back. Okay.
I'm not tasked with any particular job.
No, just if we have to set up tables, move things around, you know.
Maybe as people leave, I may have to pull a few cars out of the mud or something.
I doubt. That's right here. It's in the paid parking lot. It's in the auditorium, so I think we'll be okay.
No, not.
No.
Oh,
at the
you mean
Sugar Fest.
oh, you mean at the Sugar Fest? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that was
That-
last year was a mess.
yeah, yeah. Great.
So,
Okay.
Okay. So,
So then lastly, on biosecurity, I double checked some of the stuff you sent me and then the USDA stuff, and they're like 8 pages. So I guess it would be up to me to maybe bring a half a dozen copies and just make sure that Sarah has that information on her last slide, which you said she did, and like links, web links to that. So the biggest thing is she's going to talk about some of the common signs to look for. But the one big thing we can get from MDAR is they will do testing if you think you have a reported case. So that's the one thing to get out to people so that they're not hesitant. Well, it's a
Yeah,
catch-22, but
I tried to connect with some people at MDAR and stuff to see if they would come and speak, and I got no response from
Yes.
the person who's in charge of.
and I talked to the head of the barn inspections, and she's never been on a farm and has never had any animals. So I asked if they could refer me to someone who specifically knows about chickens, and they said at this time that they don't have they not in the, I don't know if it's the regulatory group, but in that they have some like field personnel that do the inspections and will do the testing, but they don't have people, I guess, that will present. So that's
So who's the person at MDAR that you were talking about?
Oh, I don't remember her name.
And I guess
Megan.
That may have
It's
been.
it's Megan, but it wasn't her. I talked to someone that was below her, and I
Right.
then talked to someone that's above
Megan.
her.
Yeah, I guess my concern is, like, testing, that's fine, but these are all new people, like, they don't know anything about chickens.
Need to talk about,
So just talking about what sickness looks like, sure, but also just like wearing different shoes when you're,
Yes,
you
we'll
know,
talk
just
about.
like hand washing.
Yes,
You know?
yes. Sarah was going to talk about general. I call it farm hygiene.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Okay.
I talked to MDAR because there's a barn inspector now
Right.
that wants to come out, and I questioned it and said, hey, do they do
Sure,
biosecurity?
Totally.
And we got into something, we got off track, and I don't know, they dropped it. I've called them 3 times and welcomed them to come out if they're gonna, you know, either wear plastic overshoes, or there's just methods that you can use that are really easy
Right. Totally.
if they were gonna come out, but I haven't heard back from them or follow up on that either. I think it's due in January, so it might be a seasonal position, so they do it in the fall and then they submit their report in January.
Megan
so-
McGrath. but she wouldn't even email me back.
I don't know if they're really busy. I do know there was a, well, you guys must have heard, there were a couple of geese, Canadian geese at UMass.
Yeah, emails, yeah.
So, and that's the big thing too, understanding your environment. I mean, if you have a very secluded place with not a lot of wildlife coming around, and you're more guarded with letting your chickens out than if you have totally free-range chickens that are with ducks and geese and ponds and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, Sarah was going to talk about that a bit. So, or just things to watch for. So, okay. Anything else on the chicken event?
So it's at 1 o'clock, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna get there at 12 to set up. I mean, if you
12.
really wanted to leave before 1, just, a few minutes before or something,
Yeah. So,
if you can. If you're needed there, please, I can probably handle it all, other than holding up 2 ends of the table and moving it, but Sarah can probably help me. Okay, MDAR's Agricultural Resource Fair event. So last year they had an agricultural resource event that was in April.
I already had them.
yeah.
I'm gonna say where was it? Westboro maybe?
Yeah.
And now this year they changed it to 2 locations, and we didn't see much of the notification, and one was like at Wachusett and the other one was at Smithville.
No, not Wachusett. One was at Essex Aggie and one was
Essex,
at
okay.
Smith School, but they just happened last week.
Yes, last week in February, so.
Were you there?
We are people.
Oh,
were
you
there,
were,
yeah.
okay.
Our people were there.
I just wanted to get it in people's minds for every year. I think it would be nice if someone breezed through to see what was there and see, if the membership wants to go. I don't know. I don't think there's an entry fee, so I don't think,
It's just
it
open
would
to-
qualify for reimbursement if someone was interested in going. Particularly, I got a couple of emails about local farmers questioning rising insurance costs, and is that something the Agricultural Commission knows about? And it certainly isn't, but we could point, well, at least I don't have specific information other than my own about it, but I would send them to resources like MDAR or USDA or a couple of private insurance companies that the question was very vague. I emailed the person back and said, what particular, is it operations insurance, is it crop insurance, is it buildings and machinery insurance, which kind of
Yeah,
insurance are
because
you
there's
looking
all
for?
different.
So I'll follow up on that, but that spurred my thinking about the agricultural resource, particularly if they're going to continue having it at Smith, which I think was a good, or having it 2 places in the country,
Yeah.
was great.
Well, I
because
think the
it's
first
easier
one
to
was
get
very
to.
successful, so that's why they
Decided to do that.
I think the one you're talking about in
Oh,
Wachusett that's the Grange.
That's Montchusett's Grange, yes, you're right, and that is in April. I
That is
believe.
in April, yes.
And I've never, do you have
So
any
what
It's
is that?
something new.
It is new?
It's something, yeah, because we've never participated before, but we will be attending as well. It's Ag
Mass
Expo.
Ag
Mass
Expo.
Ag Expo, and it's run by the Grange.
MASSAGEXPO. And I think the Montechusett,
It's at
or
Mount.
Wachusett
It's at Mount Wachusett College.
Grange Hall?
Well, the Grange is putting
The
it on,
Grange is
but it's
putting
at the
it on.
college.
Oh,
Is that Wachusett Community College, which is
Yeah.
up
okay, okay.
north side of Gardner, right off of 140, I think.
It's Massachusetts Agriculture in Action Expo.
In action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, there'll be machinery operating and people will be harvesting in action?
April 26th.
Yeah, if you just Google Mass Ag Expo, it
Mass
comes
Ag
up.
Expo. Yeah. Hmm.
It's something we had not heard about, but they approached us about
That looks fun.
having a booth there. Or sponsoring it. We can sponsor it for $100 and get a booth for free. So,
Oh, right.
Okay.
As USDA.
Yeah.
I see. I'll have to see.
Yeah, again, if anybody finds any information and just wants to send it, boy, now I should know this answer to this question. If I send out a question, you can't respond back to me. But if you guys are circulating information on your own, can you send it to everybody without violating the open meeting law?
I think you can send stuff, you can't converse about it.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't talk about it.
Yeah. So if you do find something and you feel like sharing it with us, that would be great, because I may consider going
Oh, yeah.
if you see it. So. Okay, we
I
have,
have a question.
okay.
Were we gonna have the communications committee person?
We were, I think last month we talked about pushing it off till after the chicken
Oh,
event.
Alright,
So I do wanna talk about, we have a couple of things on the future agenda. Which is
You
communications.
mean the town communication person?
Yes. And we were gonna try to get a little ahead of, I don't wanna say hierarchy, but a little, wrap our hands around our media circulation and
yeah,
who has authorization to it, who
Mhm.
does need, I think that's part of that whole discussion, I don't know what we wanna call that, but I'm putting
I have
communications
access
as
to
media.
the website if anybody wants.
I know you do, and I know Lori has access to the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah, it's our Facebook. It's not the town's Facebook page.
Well, and that's a question,
Sure, yeah,
does the town
totally, yes.
have Facebook pages that we should be aware of? I'll leave that question as that.
And what is it that you can work with?
The Agricultural Commission
It's a webpage.
page on the town webpage.
Oh, I see.
The other thing we were gonna talk about in April was the bylaw.
Bylaw, yeah, that was it. And then Tom working with Jacob on the update to the bounty of Belchertown.
I got, you sent me a link or connection with Maud,
Mm-hmm.
so I've responded to her, but I haven't heard anything back from her. But it may have been, I don't know, are we coming up to a deadline on that farm brochure thing?
I don't think so.
No?
That's because it was just August, September maybe that it came out?
Yeah. It was more that they have those like interns for a couple months to
Okay.
help with
Was
it.
she an intern?
Maud is
No.
not.
Oh,
But you had mentioned someone named Jacob at the last meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
Jacob
With the town,
Robinson
because it's
from
kind
the
of
Amherst
Amherst.
Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
no, I didn't have him on my, I didn't.
He's in the meeting minutes if you do
Uh.
feel like you wanna make a call to him and ask him what they're,
They're up
cause
to-
Maud was also trying to put together a farm tour at one point
Yeah,
before we
Maud
settled
reached
on
out
the
to
map.
both of us on February 10th.
You and Tom.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and I didn't see that right away, cause I don't have to look at my Gmail all that quick.
Right.
And I got like 4 other Gmail addresses, so.
Well, we won't question that, but we'll,
But I did respond and say I was still interested in, contact me on my other email.
Great.
A little bit easier. But I look more for it. Farm guide, so a town tour, huh?
well, that was one of the original discussions before most of the effort was put in the farm guide.
Mm-hmm.
That we had kicked around, Maud had kicked around organizing a farm tour. There was some support for it. I think at the time Ellie was producing more, or was more active. And so we also talked about, well, what time of year is it? Is it, we could do lambing, sugaring, and calving, and now we're in the spring. But then, apples is in the fall, and then do we do Christmas trees in November? What do we want to hit on? So I think we thought the brochure was a way to capture everybody for the first effort.
Okay.
But if Amherst decides to do a farm tour and they want to include farms in Belchertown, or if there's a regional or somebody's getting involved in it, it would be great to get, because Maud has the whole list, or well, it's on the farm guide.
Oh, okay.
There's a whole list of the farmers in Belchertown that are active and have their name, address, and when to get in touch with them. and
Have
what
you seen the farm
products
guide?
are.
It's on the town website.
Oh, okay.
You could see
There's
it
paper
there.
copies up on the second floor too, if you want
Oh,
to
alright.
find paper copies
Upstairs.
for,
All right. I
your
should get
bulletin
that.
board somewhere.
See how my farm is listed.
Yeah, she got in touch with almost everybody.
Not me.
You're on there.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't talk to you, maybe they
Yeah, I
talked
thought
to Shattuck to be maybe.
A shed, there's plenty of them.
Yes,
Anyway,
yeah.
My wife had experience with a stone house doing a garden tour several
Okay.
years ago.
Yeah,
And that was quite a bit of work, you know, to get permission from all of these gardeners that had laid out, you know, nice beautiful gardens and put them on a map. And it was a fundraiser thing for the stone house, but there was surprisingly a lot of stops that she had, but it was a ton of work
yeah, yeah.
to find out.
That's why we're like, oh, there's interns, there's people who wanna do this.
Well, it's not only that, but to get people to come out, like there's a Hilltown ceramics tour that I go
Yes,
on,
that's right, right.
and a lot of them have food trucks. One place had a band.
Right,
It was
right.
like, because sometimes after you've seen or bought one or two things, you're like, oh, okay, and then you don't go on the rest of, you know, or it's just like an art tour and you actually don't buy anything. You just look at the different types and then you go on your way.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, we would probably really have to get the farmers themselves to really want to
Yeah.
have the presence.
To engage, show off their wares, so to speak.
Yes, yes, yes.
Nice my fences, they look
We
pretty
might
good.
want to contemplate, does the farmer's market have a planning meeting? Should we reach out to them?
I could talk to Judy, cause she's on the board of that planning meeting, yeah.
Well, just to go to one of their meetings and say, you know, we're here, we've got some ideas going on. You know, would we ever like to talk to their group? Someone from here go talk to their group, or they want to come to our meeting because there could be some resources that we could help with. Particularly, I'm just thinking, you'd get a bunch of people that are ready to sell stuff at that event, and we could ask them what kind of event that would be probably most fruitful. I don't know. Just
Yeah, alright, so I'll follow up on that.
I'm gonna jump back to number 7 before we go to open items. So we've had 2 associate positions opened, and I don't believe we've had any applicants for like months. So if anybody is inspired to tell their friends who are interested in agriculture and farming and forestry, we would be happy to.
You have 2 associate
I think we have Ellie and Louise are 2, so we have 2 open right now. Yeah.
Well, in passing, I can mention it to my nephew, cause he sees, you know, folks coming in and out of the store. May want, and I can certainly talk.
I mean, it is. We haven't talked about it in detail, but we've invited the forestry people
Yeah,
because I include them in agriculture if it's a grown product.
yes,
That's
definitely.
fair. So certainly, I think Ken Conkey was a member for a bit. We got too busy, but I'd certainly welcome.
Belchertown has a high number of loggers
Mhm.
Yes.
in the community.
Yeah. So. Okay. Well, we can go to 9, but then we have more new business, I think. I just want to make a schedule at the end, but let's do 8. Was there a survey that was what's the latest update on actions on Lampson Brook? There wasn't, I don't believe there's been a meeting since our last meeting.
Yeah.
And there was gonna be some resurvey done for something to change.
No, there was talk about doing a resurvey. We haven't,
Okay.
we'd have to vote on doing a survey.
Okay, so there's
There's no update.
no update. Okay.
Unless anybody has any thoughts or feedback.
No, I would like to hear what's, when they're having the next meeting, or after the next meeting, what the action items are specifically to move forward to try to
Right.
get any farm activity happening out there.
Right.
So,
I mean, there is farm activity happening there.
yes, but more significant
Yeah.
farm. I think some of this,
Sure.
Kind of
I think the uneasiness, a lot of people aren't motivated to try to bring in. I think
Or just
more of it was the
worried, it's like it's
community
gonna get taken away and
Yes.
not gonna start.
or invest,
For sure,
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I was curious whatever happened to Ruby Farms, but that's Did they just move on? Do you know? They were on the corner there?
Yeah,
They just moved or something?
he's on his own land.
Oh, he is, so he got his own
Yeah.
land.
He's had his own land.
Oh, so he was just renting there?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
additional land? But then he put up a little farm shed.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great place for a
And he
little
put up a
farm
lot of
market.
fencing and then he left it.
Yeah.
There was some issue with him and I don't know if it was Nestle or not. They got into a disagreement,
Oh,
so that's why they didn't continue.
okay. We should beware of some of those in the future if that
Yeah, and I don't know,
goes on.
He used to be on the board.
He was?
Yeah.
He was.
Okay. I don't even know who the person is. I just know that I saw it. I know there was an investment made, and I know then it was left.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
I know, I was talking to Bob Novik today, he's got I guess they do like 1-year leases on some of those plots down there. And he's gonna take over the 4-H garden area.
Oh, he is.
Yeah, cause
Because
Louise
was carrying that. Yeah.
Louise and Pat Berry, they're just can't do it,
Yeah.
so he's gonna work that, which is,
But not for the 4-H, just.
no,
just-
for whatever he's gonna put in there. I don't know,
Too bad.
he's got a bunch of goats, dairy goats,
Really? Huh.
yeah. Board meeting.
Okay. I would like to plan out the next couple meetings a little bit. So the open items that I feel like we need to work on is definitely getting communications and media folks here. And then we talked about the bylaw for the disposal of animals on property, which I know we did some preliminary work. We've got samples of other communities. We've got the MDAR sample. We've got the USDA sample.
Mm-hmm.
The town was willing, the best idea was to make a less than 1 page bylaw which referred to standards and regulations set by others, so we're not inventing our own new regulations.
The MDAR one is really good for that.
If I recall, UMass Extension one. we
Mass
had two.
Extension, that's the one it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, it was a
I think we
1-pager that,
Yeah, talks about the 60 feet and 20 feet and
Yes.
6 feet deep and why.
I think the last time we spoke of this, it was trying to just take what UMass Extension has and maybe there's some also some town references or like Williamstown, Bellingham and stuff, different communities and what they've done and just try to
Make sure we don't miss anything.
well, just I guess include the parts that we thought were important to Belchertown and then maybe take away some of the very technical points of composting animals and things in there too. So I don't know. I had and then also adding some wording about not only entire animals but the byproducts of processing animals as a way to the disposal methods for that.
Yeah, I think we got a little sticky there.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if it's for home consumption, I think we would be safe without saying anything else. If it's for resale,
Yeah, it's different.
then you got a whole other wicket that you have to, we'd have to comply with the standards for the USDA.
Yeah, I
And
don't think.
MDR for that, and I don't think
we have
anybody's
quite
gonna
a
do that.
reach.
The question is, if I get together with Tyler and we have 50 chickens each,
Right.
what does that quantify? Probably not very much, probably 200 pounds
Oh, yeah.
of offal. It's probably not a whole lot of disposal to be concerned about, but you do, you know, that's the only one that I thought was gonna, you know, if someone does 20 chickens on a Saturday in the fall in their backyard, or half a dozen turkeys or a dozen turkeys, then, you know, I think I was told most people throw them in the garbage. I compost them, but
I know a lady in Ludlow likes to get it for her dogs, feed that to her dogs. She raises dogs. No, that's
That's
just-
funny, cause I put an ad out, I have a lot of, lamb liver, hearts, kidneys, tongues, a few other pieces, and, most people who would buy from me don't want it. They just say, don't keep it, don't give it to us, even though it's part of it.
Do you process it generally, like for consumption, or is it just a?
Yeah, I have it done at a slaughterhouse, so I
Yeah.
do wholes or halves, and so, you know, I usually send that along with it, and most
Mhm.
people just don't wanna touch it, so
Right.
I end up
She
with.
was actually buying it from a vendor somewhere and having it shipped to her house.
Well, cause I put some ads out and said, you know, I have 40 pounds, and
They like
I can
things
send
like
you some numbers
chicken necks, turkey
of
necks,
people that will
wing,
pay
you know,
for it.
raw wings.
really,
Yeah.
I thought it was surprising.
Not
I had,
so much,
I had two
not so much the
athlete
offal.
communities from Burlington, Vermont.
I don't know,
They
she
called me.
was,
They're like,
one
oh,
time
we're
I
all
went down
confused
to her
about it.
house.
Did you drive up here? And I'm like,
Came out, she had an answer.
well, by the time you pay for my time.
Right.
She was mixing
Mixing it
mixing
together.
food.
It is, I mean, I feed it to my dogs. I
Yeah.
feed it to my dog. I
Yeah.
do. I tend to mix it with sweet potato because I happen to grow sweet potatoes too.
Okay.
So I cook it.
Make a nice meal.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, all right. I don't know how to leave this bylaw one because I need to double check the submission date for this year's town meeting, which is in.
Doesn't have to go to the planning board, usually a new bylaw goes through.
I think it's too late for this year's town meeting.
I'm gonna double check.
Yeah.
I'm
Goes
gonna
through
double check.
planning board
If
approves it.
it has to be in like April 1st, then I will elevate the discussion by email so that people can put their ideas together. Otherwise, I think we should frame up a draft at the next two meetings, and then, you know, we'll have it so that we can submit it in due course and let it take its way.
You might wanna be a little bit conservative about trying to figure it for this year, because things that are gonna go for town meeting this year have already been submitted to town council.
Yeah.
So that has to happen.
I think the date is either passed or it's very close to being passed, so.
Well, I know, like the planning board is planning on bringing stuff in, we're having a public meeting on the March 11th.
Oh, you are?
That's really sort of a, last date type
Last,
of
yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
you don't have a lot of time
Yeah,
left. and
so
if
I
you've
think
gotta
we
sneak in
should
review
work
by
on the draft
council.
and then get it circulated
Yeah.
and go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, those were the last two items. Anybody else have new business?
The board had, if we, the Lampson Brook thing, has the board's voted on support of the bills or any of those discussions?
Has the Agricultural Commission?
Yeah.
We have not voted on support of, well, there's no secondary bill because the bill was passed before the board was formed, right? So
Yeah,
that,
it's a law.
It's
So
a
there's a
law.
law and
There's
then
a-
there's the new bill. That's
there's
it.
a law
Is in place.
that's in place that created the Lampson Brook
Okay.
Farm Board,
And that's what.
which our representative, the agricultural, Belchertown's representative is Tammy, and the Agricultural Commission made a recommendation to the selectmen who appointed her for 3 years
Okay.
to be the representative on that.
Okay.
The additional bill that was discussed a little bit last week is not, it's on behalf of the nipmunks, and it's about, it actually doesn't involve the Agricultural Commission,
Okay.
right? Because it's a private bill that is not part of our charge. So I don't think we would ever
Just
take it.
didn't know.
I don't think we would take it up for
Yeah.
any
Any sort of
advisement.
discussion.
I don't think any sort of discussion. I think if we're up for discussion of, I think previous last year or something, we talked about like some issues with an RFP and if we can do something to facilitate having indigenous peoples apply and all that sort of stuff. I know there's a different route that you're taking now or that's being taken now. But that's outside of
Okay.
outside of the Agricultural Commission.
All right. Well, I just didn't know. Being a newbie.
Well, I guess I think there is a place if people are interested, to look at this bill as a way forward, because the law as it stands is not moving forward, nothing is happening. It's been
And that is because of,
a conflict between DCAM and our legislators. So DCAM's the Department of,
Capital Asset Management.
thank you. And they own the property,
okay,
and they're leasing it currently to Nestle.
Nestle, right,
So DCAM is saying that the law as it stands was written in a way that does not give them the authority to transfer the property.
well, that's a crappy law.
Well, but DCAM should have said something before it went into effect. So that's the argument, right, from the legislators. And so the legislators are saying the law is fine, we should be able to move forward, but DCAM's not allowing it to move forward. And the legislators tried to pass an amendment so that, to satisfy DCAM's needs, but it never went through, they didn't push it forward, so those amendments never happened. And now the legislators are saying nothing needs to happen, so nothing's happening.
Kind of like an impasse.
It is an impasse.
It sounds like there's not a lot of incentive for people to try to get it to move forward or something. That's what it sounds, or
Right.
people have lost interest, or the legislatures don't feel like it's a top priority. That's what it sounds like. But
Yeah.
I think at some point, after you've had another meeting or two, I think it would be great for us to have a better understanding of what those steps are in case some of us want to reach out to.
If they tried an amendment and it didn't go anywhere, is it dead on arrival, or is it just sitting?
Well, there could be a new amendment brought in the new session, right?
It's too late for that, because the
This
deadline-
session is over, yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean,
deadlines-
a new session,
But that's in 2 years.
but I mean, that's,
Come back in 2 years.
Yeah.
Right.
There could also be other legal
Hmm.
means with the politicians that
Right, and I
Yeah.
think that's what
could try to work it out
Aaron
between.
Saunders and Jake
DCAM.
Oliveira have been trying to work with DCAM to get them to just do a workaround.
So that they could transfer legally the
So that we can move forward with an RFP.
With an
land to the
RFP.
Lampson Brook farm, right,
But the Lampson Brook Farm Board
Yeah.
will oversee the RFPs.
Right.
the entity.
Yes,
It's
but there's
created.
already been a plan which says MDAR leases 2 pieces.
Then no, they would own it.
They would own it, but they're gonna lease 2 pieces
Sure, right.
to
to our
agriculture. And then there's the Lampson Brook Farm plan that was put together. There's 9 acres going to Nesby, which includes the Jepson house, and then 9 acres on, let's see, is that the north side of the road? On the uphill side
Yeah,
with not
right.
a lot of cultivatable land.
Nothing, that's, yeah, cold
And
storage.
then there's I don't know what they call the commercial piece, but where the buildings are now,
That's the community
community farm
Yeah.
sort of
Mm-hmm.
section, and then there are 2 other pieces, or is it 3?
There's the commercial farm, the community farm, the Jepson, and then I haven't talked about this in a while. Business development
Right.
part.
Oh, enterprise.
Yes.
Thank you, there you go, you do know.
I read a little bit.
The
yeah.
enterprise
I thought the
zone.
enterprise and the community were not.
And then there's the forest parcel.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
forest. And it's quite a 400,
It's
It's like
400 acres
425.
total. The forest is pretty good size.
The forest is the.
It's kind of in
part it.
between the 2. You know, as you go around Georgiana.
yeah,
Is that still Georgiana?
behind the waste treatment?
Yep.
Yeah, if you go around the corner like a half a mile, the forest all on the hill there is that's the forest piece.
Yeah, okay.
And then you get to that other piece. I used to call it the contours. I don't know what
Yeah.
they call it now, where the maple trees were
Yeah.
taken down, the big maples.
Oh, yes, right.
Georgiana, that's actually very beautiful and very good soils.
Yeah, and that's where Austin is.
Hay right now. Silage.
Corn.
Yeah. And that's MDAR.
That's MDAR. There's some commercial or community farm there, but it's mostly MDAR.
Yeah, there's a little old shack of a greenhouse.
Yeah, yeah.
If it's seems,
No, but I mean, in the future, I think MDAR has control of that,
Of most of it.
yeah.
and they're not willing to give it up or something.
Well, no, it still can't happen until this DCAM action takes place,
DCAM,
because
right.
they actually don't own it right now.
Right.
DCAM owns it, and they're gonna transfer it to
Okay,
MDAR,
okay.
so.
All these acronyms. Sounds like Army talk.
Yeah, we should start giving 3-letter initials to the parcels, so, just to keep you thinking.
Then I'd totally understand.
Yeah, you know how
Wait
it's.
a minute, don't you use 4 letters a lot at NRCS, equip and
Yeah,
all
3 to
those
4.
other- Yeah, okay. So yeah, it would be nice if there was something to break the impasse to move things along.
Saunders or Oliveira. Get him in the corner.
Okay,
Well, did I hear Natalie Blay is now gonna be on the Ag Committee,
on the state,
State Ag Committee? I thought I heard that.
oh,
Who?
Natalie Blay, she's from
Oh, yeah.
Sunderland. That would be good for us, 'cause
why have I heard that name before?
she used to work for McGovern, and she's been representing the Sunderland district for the last,
Does she do something with
3 or 4
horses, a very specific type of equine?
no,
No, okay, I've got something else. Something from Sunderland.
It's
She's
on the
very-
state.
she's very supportive of ag.
So she is on the Ag Committee?
I thought I heard on the radio the other day that she'd been appointed to the Ag Committee, which doesn't surprise me because of,
Right.
you know, of her interests and where, being in
Well,
Sunderland.
that would be smart. She's
So,
involved.
I move
Alright.
to adjourn the meeting.
I was just gonna ask for a motion. Can I second motions? I'll second the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
So that's no opposition, I don't think that's. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, everybody.
thank you, Dan.
I will see Tom for a bit at the chicken event, otherwise I look forward to seeing